The Civil War marked a defining moment in United States history. Long simmering sectional tensions reached a critical stage in 1860 through 1861 when 11 slave-holding states seceded and formed the Confederate States of America. Political disagreement gave way to war in April 1861 as Confederates insisted on their right to leave the Union and the loyal states refused to allow them to go. 4 years of fighting claimed almost 1.5 million casualties, directly affected untold civilians, and freed 4 million enslaved African Americans, quote Gallagher. The Civil War was an eye-opener for the United States of America. Many people began to express how they really felt about things. Not only did the slaves rebel, but now you had people everywhere rebelling. Rebellion broke out all throughout the United States. Generations of historians have argued over the cause of the war. Everyone knew at the time that the war was ultimately about slavery, says Orville Vernon Burton, a native South Carolinian and author of The Age of Lincoln. After the war, some began saying that it was really about states' rights, or a clash of two different cultures, or about the tariff, or about the industrializing North versus the agrarian South. All these interpretations came together to portray the Civil War as a collision of two noble civilizations from which black slaves had been airbrushed out. African American historians from W.E.B. Du Bois to John Hope Franklin begged to differ with the revisionist view, but they were overwhelmed by white historians, both Southern and Northern, who during the long era of Jim Crow largely ignored the importance of slavery in shaping the politics of secession. Quote Baldrige. The social and economic system based on chattel slavery that the seceding states had sought to protect lay in ruins. The inviolability of the Union, most of the loyal citizens' preeminent concern throughout the conflict, was confirmed on the battlefield. In the longer term, preservation of the Union made possible the American economic and political collapse of the next century. Before the outbreak of war in April 1861, the American Republic had survived diplomatic and military crises and internal stresses. It weathered tensions with France in the late 1790s, a second war with Britain in 1812 through 1815, and disputes regarding international boundaries. Political wrangling over economic issues such as the tariff, a national bank, and government-supported public works proved divisive but posed no serious threat to the integrity of the Union. Despite fissures along ethnic and class lines, the majority of Americans had much in common. They were white, Christian, spoke English, and shared a heritage forged in the crucible of the Revolutionary War. Questions relating to the institution of slavery set the stage for secession and war. In a war that freed enslaved African Americans, most Indian people fought to stay free in a land once theirs alone. A crucial part of the Civil War story is that more than 20,000 American Indians fought on both sides of the conflict. Many who fought thought they'd be able to protect their lands. Instead, federal Indian policy became more perverse during the war, eventually leading to westward expansion and the devastation of the native peoples, quote NPS. For many Americans, this conflict evokes images of the storied battlefields of North and South and of the dramatic changes in the lives of Americans and of African and Anglo descent. Lesser known is the story of the people of Spanish ancestry who participated in this epic conflict and of the many battles that took place in the West in areas of large Hispanic populations and strong Spanish heritage. More than 20,000 Hispanics fought in the Civil War, some for the Union and some for the Confederacy. Thousands of Hispanics lost hearts and hands on the battlefront, quote NPS. You see, the northern states had started to establish financial recovery and security with the advancement of factories. Industrialism began to branch out, and people began making more money than ever. They also started to see how inhumane and unnecessary slavery was. Honestly, they also saw how hard people worked and how much effort they actually put in when they worked for the money versus working out of fear.